Tonight, many of America's farmers already feeling the pinch are worried about the possibility of more challenges. That's because President Trump is threatening to deport millions of undocumented immigrants, creating uncertainty about the future of the workforce.
And more tariffs could mean more trouble for Iowa farmers. The latest rates with China means that some of the state's biggest ag exports can be staying at home and could be costing farmers a lot of money.
I hope for either a second pause to get me through harvest, or that time is negotiated to get a deal with those countries that are involved.
Already struggling, they now face the threat of mass deportations as President Trump vows to remove millions of undocumented immigrants, laborers who form the backbone of agriculture. On top of that, rising tariffs could spell even more trouble, especially for Iowa's farming communities. With new trade tensions brewing with China, some of Iowa's top exports could remain grounded, and every missed shipment means major losses. I just hope we get either a temporary pause or enough time to negotiate a deal, one farmer says. The harvest clock is ticking. What began as quiet frustration has now erupted into a full-blown rebellion, one that's shaking the very foundations of the modern food chain. Thousands of tractors sit idle at the border, entire harvests rot under the sun, and John Deere, once an untouchable icon of American farming, has gone silent. But this isn't about machines breaking down. This is about a system collapsing. It started with what officials described as routine inspections, but to farmers, it looked like a blockade. 3 weeks ago, Mexican customs authorities began conducting enhanced checks on agricultural equipment. But at key entry points like Laredo and Nogales, something strange happened. Over 140 John Deere machines were detained. None made it through. Meanwhile, competitors like Case 1H and Kubota passed with barely a glance. On the surface, Mexican officials cited national standards and safety compliance. But behind the scenes, this was retaliation years in the making. For over a decade, frustration had been brewing across North America. From Nebraska to Sinaloa, farmers warned that Deere's brilliance came with chains. Machines were locked behind proprietary software, preventing even basic repairs without paying the company. What should cost $50 ballooned into $500 or more just to unlock a screen. In rural Mexico, those delays weren't just expensive, they were catastrophic. Over 300 farm failures in 5 years were linked directly to repair issues and equipment downtime. One farmer missed an entire season because his tractor was stuck 10 meters across the US border. Another lost his crop due to a simple sensor failure, and the only technician who could fix it was 200 kilometers away. Then the documents leaked, internal memos, cross-border reports, and what they revealed shattered any remaining trust. John Deere's collapse didn't start with a glitch, it started with greed. The day Mexico blocked those machines, Deere's stock opened flat, and by noon, it was in free fall. By week's end, $14 billion in market value had vanished. Analysts blamed the border. They were wrong. This wasn't about shipping delays. This was about exposure. Deere's entire business was built on control over diagnostics, over parts, over service. And Mexico had just yanked that control away. Billions in equipment, service revenue, and parts sales, all frozen. Inventory piled up. Late fees triggered. Moody's and S&P both issued negative watch warnings. Inside Deere HQ, panic set in. Projections were slashed. Burn rates exploded past $370 million a week. But the true blow didn't come from Wall Street. It came from the heartland. Michael Peterson, a lifelong John Deere customer, summed it up. 30 years gone over one invoice. That invoice, $500 to clear a 5-minute code. Peterson walked away, and he wasn't alone. Nebraska's largest farming co-op pulled $40 million in future orders overnight and redirected them to Case IH and New Holland. The message? We support companies that support farmers. The American Farm Bureau Federation, representing over 6 million families, issued a rare rebuke. The right to repair must be implemented globally, and they thank Mexico for finally forcing Deere to listen. Online, the rebellion spread. Farmers formed coalitions, swapped software hacks, and exchanged repair tips in private forums. A movement was born. At the center, Green Ghost, a downloadable patch that unlocked Deere machines, cleared fault codes, and gave farmers back control. Digital liberation, one Iowa farmer called it. A gray market repair economy emerged. Former Deere techs now making discreet house calls for cash and anonymity. But the real bombshell came next. A leaked Dropbox folder, 64 pages, titled Revenue Enhancement Through Service Exclusivity. It detailed a deliberate strategy to increase profits by restricting repair access. Former engineer Thomas Wilson confessed, "We didn't build for uptime, we built for margin." He revealed how sensors were rigged to cause shutdowns, vague error codes were by design, and software was engineered to maximize service fees during harvest windows. Farmers weren't customers, they were targets. Then came Robert Johnson, a former Deere service manager, who exposed seasonal price hikes, storm pricing during droughts, maximum extraction during harvests. A $500 repair in February, it became $1,500 by August.